Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about some of the near future storms. So yesterday we took a look very far out, a month out. If you haven't checked out that video, I will link it in the cards above. But now we're going to kind of take it a little bit closer to now and kind of look at the fact that we're not going to see major snowstorms, but there could still be some snowstorms that might be a little bit more impactful than you might think. So if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. But let's get right on into it. So I am on the National Weather Service page, and we don't have much going on right now. We have a few winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in the Rockies, a few in the Appalachians, but overall the big snowstorm, Winter Storm Malcolm, has moved out. The effects of that snowstorm have really taken a toll on some of the northern plains states. Very strong winds, blizzard conditions. It was a crazy storm. But now we gotta move on to more of the Clipper time of year. So let's take a look at the NAM, and we're gonna go further into this. So here is the NAM. So we have a few systems moving through. Of course, you have Malcolm moving off the coast. You have this little Clipper system that really isn't organized, but still could bring you maybe like a half an inch of snow at most. Then you have the storm systems back in the Rockies. So as we move across here, you can see that the eastern Clipper system kind of brings some flurries to the northeast throughout the day today and into tomorrow, but then you start to see this low pressure in the west, start to see some more moisture in the central part of the country. That starts to pull up some moisture in the west, kind of retrograde a little bit there, moving from Arizona into California and further west. While it does this kind of rotation, it brings up more moisture, but at the same time, we get this kind of, I would say, kind of a Clipper system in the northeast. Now if we go to the very latest model run rate, kind of the same thing overall, but then we get those few extra hours, and then that area starts to fill in here. So what do I think is going to happen with that? Most of the long range models that we're going to look at don't show this. The NAM has usually been a little bit more accurate, so take this a little bit into account here as we go through the next few models. GFS. So here is the GFS model. Let's take a look at the differences between this and the NAM. So overall, pretty much the same, except for the fact that there's less emphasis on the storms in the northeast. So you had this low pressure that's supposed to move through on the 20th. Then you get this next one over here. The GFS has this breaking apart as it moves into the northeast, and it also has this low pressure staying off the coast for a little bit longer, and really doesn't have anything coming out of that. It has more coming out of another low pressure that moves onto the west coast, and that could create a blizzard potentially over here and in the Rockies as well, but not many major impacts until you get further north, and some areas in the northeast could see a little bit of snowfall from that on the front edge, but then you get mostly rainfall. Then it has another attempt at that, still kind of the same thing. The further north you are, the more impacts you'll have, but once again, once you get into the major population centers in the northeast, some snow, mostly rain. Now, what does the European model have for all of this? So it has pretty similar with those Clipper systems. Doesn't have much forming out of this low pressure over here like the NAM did, but it also has this low pressure that was off the coast of California really not doing much either, doing less than the GFS has in fact. Has more emphasis on this low pressure that brings some mid-Atlantic snowfall, and then you have a few others that try to form there as well. So overall trends for the next few weeks. This has been the biggest topic for myself over the next, the last couple of days, is that we have the cold in place in most of the U.S. I mean, if you look at these blue lines here on the GFS, you can see it. There's cold all the way down to the deep south. Now, the problem is that there's no real precipitation matching up with super cold temperatures right now to get major snowstorms. Most of the heavy precipitation is staying in that rain, or it's coming. The heavy snowfall is really not forming in areas that are super heavily populated. Now, if this does happen, you could see maybe Minneapolis get in some snowfall. Maybe you get areas such as Milwaukee, maybe Detroit could see a little bit of snowfall. But then you have more prevalent population centers such as in the Northeast. Then you have Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. Those areas of the Great Lakes really not getting much. You also don't have significant southern snowstorms. You have some rocky snowstorms, but then take it with a grain of salt, because the Rockies region of the U.S. is the least populated out of any other region. So the moisture doesn't find the cold spots when it has to, and the cold spots will still be there. It's still going to be cold. The problem is that it's not going to be cold and snowy. It's going to be cold and dry, and when it does get some moisture in some spots, it's mostly rain. Now, another thing that we got to start talking about is the start of severe storm season. We could see a few of these storm systems push some major lines of thunderstorms through most of the United States, and that could be pretty impactful as well. So, what do you guys think is going to happen over the next few weeks? Do you think that we're going to get some significant clippers that could, make some impacts on, such as the Northeast, maybe the Mid-Atlantic a little bit, maybe the Great Lakes region? Or do you think, I think this is a little bit of a break in winter storm season. We are kind of ahead of schedule with the names for the winter storm season, with 13 already being used this year. We're halfway through the names, and we're about halfway through the storm season. So, what do you think is going to happen? Comment in the comment section down below. But that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.